This week we read the portion of Balak. The story of Balak is that Balak hired Bilam, who was a prophet from the nations of the world, who had the power in his mouth, the gift of the gab, and he wanted to hire Bilam to go and curse the Jewish people. For it was known for the person or the nation that Bilam curses is cursed, and the nation that Bilam blesses is blessed. However, to every rule there's an exception, and that was the Jewish people. For even though Balak hired Bilam to curse the Jewish people, God tells Bilam, you cannot curse my people, ki baruchu, for they are blessed. And therefore, throughout the entire portion, we find various times how Bilam tries to curse the Jewish people. He tries to find an opportunity to curse the people of Israel. And God changes his words and he says blessings instead. One of the blessings and one of the praises that we find in the Parsha is found in chapter 23, verse number 24. And there it says, Hen kilavi yakum v'chari yisnasa, which means, look, a people that rises like an awesome lion and raises itself like a lion. Why are the Jewish people compared to a lion? So Rashi, the logician on the Torah, the classic commentator, tells us like this, that Kishehein oimdim mishinasam shachris, when a Jew gets up in the morning from his sleep, what do? Hein misgabrin kelevi, they right away strengthen themselves like a lion, v'chari, and another lion. Lachtov as a mitzvah is to grab the mitzvahs. And Rashi does not suffice by simply speaking ambiguously to grab the mitzvahs. He goes on to say, what does a person do when he gets up in the morning? Lilbeish talis, he grabs a talis, to put on a talis, and he grabs likrei shema, to recite the shema, ulaniach tefillin, and to put on the tefillin. So Rashi gives three examples of what it means when a Jew gets up in the morning, he's like a lion to grab mitzvahs. What are the mitzvahs that he grabs? He grabs the mitzvah to put on a talis and to recite the Shema Yisrael, and also to put on the tefillin daily and not on Shabbos. So what is the concept of lachatov? Why does Rashi use the word that they grab? What is the concept of grabbing? Generally, if you like something, you grab it. If you don't like it, you take it reluctantly. But if you really see a nice, beautiful diamond on the table, you want to grab it. Or a good piece of steak, you want to grab it. Or a delicious ice cream cone, you want to grab it. But of course, you have to wait 6 hours to have an ice cream cone after you grabbed the steak. Because we wait 6 hours from meat to milk. But the opposite is, if you grabbed the ice cream cone, then you only have to wait 1 hour to have the meat. So the concept of grabbing is something that you really like. Tells the Torah that why the Jewish people praised as a lion, because they grab to do mitzvahs. They don't do mitzvahs reluctantly because they're coerced, because they have to. But a Jew does a mitzvah because he loves to do the mitzvah. He's excited to do the mitzvah. And the idea of lachatov actually represents to grab beyond one's logic. To grab in a situation of self-sacrifice, even if, God forbid, you put your life in danger. But you want it so much, so you're going to grab it. And that's how much a Jew is willing to do a mitzvah, that he grabs the mitzvah even if he puts his life in danger. And this, the Rebbe says, is why we read this portion this week, which is the week of Yud Beis, Yud Gimel Tammuz. Because on the 12th and 13th of Tammuz, this is the day that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yitzchak Schneerson, was informed of his release from the prison and the exile that he was put into by the communists. As you know that in the time of the communists, it was forbidden to teach children Aleph Beis, and the communists went and they closed up all the mikvahs, so the women could not go to mikveh every month, and they forbade circumcision according to Torah law, and they did not allow ritual slaughter. And yet the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rabbi Yitzchak, established an underground army to go and to continue to teach children Aleph Beis and to continue to slaughter kosher animals ritually and to fulfill the circumcision, the milah, the bris milah, and also to build mikvahs, to build ritual baths any place possible. These people that went to do these very important chores and these very important mitzvahs knew that they were putting their lives in danger. And they knew that if they were caught, it meant that either they would have to sit for many years in prison or go to Siberia, and some of them even lost their lives. And yet they were prepared to do this for the sake of the Torah and to perpetuate the Jewish continuity for all generations to come. And so the Frierdiker Rebbe says that today, when he came out of exile, not only was I today redeemed, but every single Jew with the name of Yisrael, by the name of Jew, that Jew was also redeemed today from prison. Because if the Rebbe, God forbid, would not have been redeemed from prison, then there would be no Yiddishkeit in Russia. And then today, all the outreach activities and the inspiration that we see from the Rebbe and from the Chabad movement and other outreach movements of inspiring other Jews would not be here. So this is a day that really was a spiritual revolution for Yiddishkeit the world over. And there's a talk of the previous Rebbe on the 19th of Kislev in the year 1926. And he goes out and he says, Yehudim Yidden, Chitfu Mesiras Nefesh Chitfu, grab self-sacrifice, grab self-sacrifice. And he says like this, the time will come that it's going to be easy to be a Jew. You're going to be able to have your freedom and celebrate Judaism out in public. But you're going to look for self-sacrifice and it's not going to be there anymore. You're not going to need it. And the time will come that you won't be sitting in prison for teaching children Aleph Beis. But you know what? People are going to be jealous of those that had to sit in prison because they taught the Aleph Beis. And we're going to be jealous of those people that were sitting in prison because they performed circumcisions. And we're going to be jealous of those people that sat in prison because they built mikvahs. So therefore, the Rebbe concludes that talk in 1926 and he says, Yidden, Jews, go out and grab Mesiras Nefesh. Go do what you have to do. And the Rebbe says the same is true with our generation. That we have been endowed with the mission. And we have been endowed with the opportunity to do mitzvahs. And to inspire another Jew to light a Shabbos candle, another Jew to put on a mezuzah, another Jew to put on tefillin, and to build another mikvah in your community. And you say, yeah, it's not for me, it's for somebody else. And therefore the message of this week's Parsha is that the Jewish people are praised by being a lion. A lion means that we get up early in the morning and we grab every opportunity, we grab every mitzvah. And we don't say, I'll take only the big mitzvahs and not the small ones, or only the easy ones and not the difficult ones. But on the contrary, Rashi makes a blanket statement. And he says, Lachatoi vesa mitzvahs, we grab every mitzvah. The talis, and we grab Shema, and we grab the tefillin, every mitzvah that comes our way, we grab that mitzvah to do that mitzvah. And we do it with joy and with honor and with dignity. And this is the power, and this is the blessing that we are given in this week's Parsha. That every Jew now becomes empowered to be like a lion, to grab every mitzvah, every opportunity, and to inspire our brothers and sisters. Because when Mashiach is going to come very soon, and it's going to be very easy to do the mitzvahs, and everybody's going to be performing the mitzvahs. And we're going to look around and we're going to say, you know what? I could have inspired another person. I could have inspired another person. It's going to be too late. And we're going to be jealous of those that did inspire other people. But where do we get the power to do this? We get the power from the very first word in this pasuk. The very first word in this pasuk is the word hen. What is hen? Hen means behold or look. And the word hen is spelled with two letters, the letter Hey and the letter Nun. And it's interesting that in the Aleph Beis of Oishis Atbach, in other words, there are many ways of reading the Aleph Beis. One is the basic way of Aleph through Taf, Aleph Beis Gimel Dalet Hey. Another way is called Atbash. We supplement the first letter for the last letter, and then the second letter to the second to the last letter. And then there's a third way, which is called Atbach. Atbach is we supplement the Aleph for the Tes, and the Yud for the Tzaddik, and the Kuf for the Taf. This is called Atbach. And it's interesting that when we pair these two letters together, there are two letters in the Aleph Beis that do not have a partner. And that is the letter Hey, and that is the letter Nun. So we see that the Medrash tells us that Almighty God says, just as these two letters cannot partner themselves to any of the other letters, so too the Jews cannot cleave to the nations of the world. Rather, they remain alone. So the Hey and the Nun are two unique letters that have no partners. What is the concept of Hey and Nun? Hey, we know, has the gematria of 5. And Nun has the gematria of 50. There are 5 levels to the soul. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chai, Yechida. Hey represents the 5th level. The 5th level is the level of oneness and unity with God, and that is the level that can never sever its relationship with God. And that is the level of self-sacrifice to do God's will. And then you have the letter Nun. Nun is the gematria of 50, and we know that there are 50 levels to understanding. 49 levels man can acquire on his own. The 50th is a gift from God. And here we are told that every Jew is hen that every Jewish person who is like a lion receives these two gifts of the Hey and the Nun, the 5th level of the soul, and the 50th level of Bina, of understanding. In other words, that each person is empowered with the ability of self-sacrifice and to truly transcend one's intellect. And through this word hen, which is alone and has no partners, a person has the ability to truly become kulavi, to be like a lion, uchari, and to be able to grab every mitzvah and every opportunity. Being that today is Yud Beis Tammuz, being that today is the 12th of Tammuz, and we celebrate this auspicious event of the release from exile of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. So I'd like to tell a personal story that happened to my family. And that is in 1929. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe came to America. That was the first time he came to America. He then left after that and then came back again in 1940 when he remained here until his passing. But the first time he came in 1929, he was in Brownsville. And that was a community with many Jews. Many immigrants came to Brownsville. And the Rebbe was there, and they asked the Rebbe at that time to say a Hasidic discourse. And the Rebbe said, for me to say a Hasidic discourse, I first have to go into a mikveh. I have to immerse in a ritual bath. Who runs the mikveh here in Brownsville? So I told him, in Brownsville, Hersh Melech Hecht, he runs the mikveh. That's my grandfather's grandfather. Hersh Melech Hecht came to America in 1880. So he ran the mikveh in Brownsville. So he heard that the Frierdiker Rebbe wanted the mikveh. He made a beautiful job. He cleaned the mikveh, and he put towels on the floor like a red carpet. And when the Frierdiker Rebbe came into the mikveh, he gave the Rebbe a big, thick, heavy, beautiful towel, and inside he put a $5 silver bill. And he wanted the Rebbe to have that for a donation, and he also, of course, told the Rebbe he can use the mikveh. When the Rebbe finished with the mikveh and he came out, so he went over to Hersh Melech and he thanked him, and he too gave him back a $5 silver bill. And my grandfather, Hersh Melech, said, you know that I don't take money from Rebbes. I like to give money to Rebbes. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, money you don't take, but blessings you take. So I'll give you a blessing. I give you a blessing that that your grandchildren should become my chassidim. And another version of the story was that I bless you that your grandchildren should learn in Teim Chitamimim, which is the Lubavitcher Yeshiva system. So that is the story with the Frierdiker Rebbe. I heard that when this Rebbe heard the story, he said, knowing my father-in-law, I'm sure he actually paid the $5 back to the grandfather. But the point of the story here is that we see when a Yid has Mesiras Nefesh, when a Yid has self-sacrifice for a mitzvah, Hashem blesses him with children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren that go in the way of Torah and mitzvahs, that are truly a pride to the family and a pride to the community and a pride to the entire world. And so we hope and pray to see very soon on how how truly this people, who God chose from all the nations of the world, will be a pride in the eyes of all the nations of the world with the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days.